Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're reading me loud and clear. Welcome to this live webinar on YouTube. And thank you, first of all, for everyone for sending me so many questions. We try to answer all of them. And if you're not answered, I hope to do that in this live webinar. We also have a chat on YouTube. There's a live chat. So if you have any other questions, please leave them in the chat. I'll try to answer them as well. So today is all about 5 upcoming trends for modern butlers. I thought it was a good idea maybe to give you a bit of inspiration just before the weekend. Now it's going to be a fast webinar. We don't want to bore you with the things you might already know. And just like in our trainings, we want to give you value and things that you can use. Well, no fluff, so to say. So here we go. Like the most of you maybe know, we run the School for Butlers and Hospitality here in Belgium. We run a 1, a 4, and an 8-week training. We also run a 2-week butler bootcamp combined with our distant learning program. And we are kind of unique in the field, if you want to, because our trainings are not only about theory and practicals, but they're also about discovering things, about showing the real world to our butlers. And field trips, of course, is one of those. We take our students to Champagne, for example, our amazing partner Boulanger since many, many years. We show them how champagne is made, of course, and how you should do it and how you should pour it, etc., etc. We also take our students, of course, to our 2-day trip in London. And I might say that this is really unique, as we are one of the very few who do this. We take not only our students to, for example, John Lobb, where they will discover how amazing shoes are made by hand, bespoke. We also take them to the Lanesborough Hotel to, for example, discover afternoon tea at the very highest level. We take them to Savile Row, where you can have the most amazing bespoke clothing. We show them where royalty shops, of course. We introduce them to former students who are very nice to show them around in their place of work, or, for example, here in the Ritz. So that's our trips to London, for example. And of course, during the training, our students go really into the real work right away. We have live guests coming to the school, and they are trained immediately as they should in that 8-week training. So next to our butler training, we also have etiquette trainings, for example, for ladies, for gentlemen. And more recently, we had our etiquette camps again for children. And those children are absolutely amazing because they suck up this information like a sponge, and they use it hopefully in their lives to come. So that leaves me a bit more time. And that time is used to write books. My first book was actually published in 2016, all about what we can learn from the butler. And then we had in 2022, just a year ago, we had the Gastology book coming out. And the Gastology book is more towards corporations, organizations, and companies to implement customer experience. But of course, it all comes from the, let's say, mindset of the butler. The mindset of the butler that is in the households, of course, and that's where it all comes from, that high-level service. So next to that, we use that mindset to train companies and organizations all over the world. Our esteemed partner, Silver Sea Cruises, for example. I go around the world to do some keynotes and to talk to organizations and train them. So we are very, very lucky to do what we are doing. But today is all about the butler. Now, of course, as we are moving into the, 2024 almost, we are being faced with, let's say, technology and everything that comes with it. The thing is, of course, that we have a number of upcoming trends that we think that a modern butler should be aware of. And the first one is all about automating your workflow. Now, the thing is that you are doing repetitive tasks every single day. And actually, due to a study which we discovered, we saw that we almost spend 50% of repetitive tasks on every single task we do every single day. On top of that, 10% of that time is spent on manual data entry, whether it be on a mobile device, whether it be on your desktop, you name it. We do it over and over again. And that's the first thing I wanted to show you. Like I said, I want to give you value. I want to give you tips and tricks on how to handle this. And the first one might be a bit the most difficult one, but I'll show you the easy ones as well. The first one I want to show to you is Zapier. Now, Zapier is a platform that will connect other platforms. For example, you can connect your Facebook with your Google Mail, or for example, your Messenger with your email. If an email comes in, your messenger will send you a message and vice versa. However, the tool that I use the most and that will absolutely give you back 10 to 20% of your time on all of those tasks that you do every single day is a very small device I use every single day. And it is called a Stream Deck. Now allow me to explain. The Stream Deck is a little device that you connect to your computer and you can program it. You can program it to open applications, you can have those applications do things, automate them, etc. But there is one feature that I use the most, and that is what we call text replacements. Now I'm going to show you a feed from my desk, and you can see, for example, every single day, and you probably do too, we have to put in our address, our details in forms on the internet, etc. Well, I don't type them every single time. Have a look. When I push a button and have a look at the top of the screen, what happens? When I push, for example, on the street, it will type the street. If I push, for example, on the city, it will type the city. But this is the best. It can also type full text. It can type any text that you want. Imagine what that can do, for example, if you're sending out emails. When you're sending out emails every single day, and sometimes you have to write the same phrase over and over again, this little device is absolutely stunning. So a Stream Deck is really worth the investment. But now you're probably saying, well, that's great, but I'm on my phone the whole day. As a butler, I'm running around in the household. I'm in a car, I'm traveling, etc. Well, for that one, we have another little trick. It is called keyboard shortcuts. Now I'm going to show you this on iPhone, and it most likely exists on Android as well. The thing is that you can type something very small and the text will actually expand. For example, if I type SBH, it will expand to School for Butlers and Hospitality. If I type BRVV, it will type Best Regards, Vincent Vermeulen. And with that little trick, I save minutes, hours every single week. And you can easily find it in your settings. You just go to text replacements, and there you can actually add them for you. It's so very easy. So that's actually the first trend I wanted to share with you. To automate your workflow and make sure that the tasks that you have to do every single day over and over again, to automate them. Now, the second trend I want to talk to you about is staying updated on high-level gastronomy. The people that butlers are working for love to find out about new chefs, concepts, and restaurants or hotels that are about to open, for example. And that means that you as a butler should stay updated. You should be aware of what is opening when, and you should be able to share that with your principal. Now let me show you, for example, where you can find them. The first thing, and this might be a bit obvious, is to talk to people, to talk to the right people. Now, of course, you can start, for example, with chefs, waiters, concierges in hotels, anyone who's in contact locally with the restaurant industry, because they talk to other people as well. Now, the second one is actually a tip that I got from my brother. He loves gastronomy as well. He's a hospitality professional as well. And he talks to people in specialized bookstores. He has this little shop in Paris where he always goes to. It's this one. And he actually asks the lady who sells these books what the new and upcoming restaurants are, because that lady is in touch with upcoming chefs. And more than once, he will visit a restaurant that shortly after will gain a Michelin star, for example. So stay updated on that. There are a few other things that you can do. You can, for example, go on the internet, of course, and if you know the right websites, you can stay updated through their newsletters, etc. One of those is, for example, the 50 best. I think that most of you know this, but you maybe not know that 50 best do a lot of other things as well. They have, for example, also the list of 50 best bars in the world, because not necessarily is the bar in the restaurant. There can be bars in hotels as well. And those are fun places to go as well. Anyway, the 50 best is the first website that I would recommend for you to check and to recheck every year and stay updated. The second one could be a little magazine. It's a magazine called Trois Étoiles. It's about 3-star Michelin chefs. Of course, they have the website, they have the newsletter, but you can also physically buy the magazine and stay updated. Last but not least, in terms of resorts, for example, you can go to Les Châteaux, where you can see the best resorts around the world. And of course, there are many other organizations such as Les Châteaux, such as Leading Hotels of the World, etc., etc. So staying updated on high-level gastronomy is really, really important for the modern butler. There's one more tip I want to give you. It's called Google Alerts. You can go into your Google account and type in an alert. For example, hotel opening, 3-star restaurant opening. And every time that something is on the internet, comes on the internet about a hotel that's about to open or new 3-star restaurants, it will send you an email. So that is a very good one as well to stay updated. Number 3, sustainability and green practices. Now you probably were wondering, what is this about? Of course, we are living in a world where more and more green practices are looked into. We got to think about the climate, etc., etc. Here is what I can tell you. It starts with you. And it's been that for many, many years, for many, many decades. And sometimes people talk about sustainability, but they don't really go all the way. Let me give you an example. For example, cleaning shoes. Now, of course, we as butlers know what cleaning shoes are, but if you look at most people, never have there been so many people that throw away their shoes so fast. A shoe repair shop, well, here in Belgium, for example, you don't find them anymore, or not that many, because people don't really take care of their shoes. And that is where sustainability starts. However, let me give you an example on how we handle this in the school. For example, if the students arrive here in the school, we prepare the house, well, domaine kant-en-klaar, we want to perfectly prepare it. Everything has its place and we love to keep it that way. We support our students in maintaining these standards that lead to working more efficiently and reducing cost, but also reducing waste. And for example, as you saw in the picture, the jars that we use, that makes sure that we have as little as packaging as possible. Now, speaking of waste, when the students arrive, they get a manual, a household guideline, where we show how to recycle. We show how to recycle, and the thing is that I am actually always a bit amazed that students coming here from all around the world are actually not really used to recycling. And it's that very easy to do, and it will add to that green practice and sustainability. Right, number 4, cultural sensitivity. How did I come to this? Well, if we look at recent etiquette trainings and the questions I get, this is the great thing about etiquette. It's flexible. It's flexible and it changes over the years. For example, since 2007, we've got the smartphone. Before we didn't have a smartphone, so we didn't have smartphone etiquette. Now, in recent times, we have a new term, for example, the term woke. And that all fits into how do we address someone, for example. More and more will you see in an email that somebody is referring to their gender in the signature of their email. For example, he, him, her, she, etc., etc. And I think that we need a bit of cultural sensitivity there. The first thing I would advise to modern butlers is to look into different kinds of etiquette. Now, of course, our students know this and they look into different ones. But those maybe thinking about becoming a butler, it's not that difficult to just go around the internet and have a look at how it's done in different countries, for example. There are different habits and different customs in different countries. And it doesn't mean because you're doing something different than another culture that you are impolite. It means that it might be your custom, the way that you do it. For example, as you know, a lot of people in the United States, they eat with the fork in the right hand. In Europe, we most likely will eat with the fork and the knife in our two hands. And one might find it strange or impolite at a certain given time, but it's not. It's that cultural sensitivity that we actually need. So that's the first thing I would advocate for you. So different kinds of etiquette. The second thing is verbal support. Now, verbal support is actually an art that we have lost over the decades. We are sometimes scared to ask something. For example, how would you like me to address you? It's a simple and direct question to avoid any embarrassment in the future. If you ask someone and you tell them, for example, why you asked that question, they will be more than happy to tell you how you can address them. And trust me, it will actually improve your relationship with those people. Absolutely certain. So that is number 4. And the 5th trend for upcoming butlers, it's a bit related to the first one, is of course all about technology, the tech-savvy butler. Now, the first thing that I would recommend, and it might be a bit unclassy, but I would recommend to look into portable technology. And in the world of technology, they call it wearables. The most recent example, of course, is the smartwatches. But the smartwatches as a butler, because recently I went for a lunch with one of my former students, and he said, you know, my principal texts me every single minute from time to time, and if I'm not looking at my phone, I don't know if he texted me. So what he did was he bought a smart watch, and every time he gets a message, it's on his smartwatch. He's get a notification. There's a little vibration as well, and he can answer much quicker. If there's, for example, a security alert, he can see it. If there's an alarm, if there's somebody at the door, etc., etc. Therefore, I would really recommend that you look into wearables as a modern butler. That's the first thing I want to show to you. The second thing I want to show to you is, well, this is not really new, but it's called the Internet of Things. So it's where actually certain applications will be in contact with other pieces of technology, if you will. For example, the smart fridges. They're not new, but have you ever been in the supermarket and you thought to yourself, do I still have milk or lemons left in the fridge? I don't know. And what I advise from time to time is, before you go to the supermarket, take a picture of the fridge, and that way you can see on a photo. But nowadays, you got these smart fridges that have an integrated camera, and you can see the inside of the fridge anywhere you are. And that will actually show you what is still in the fridge. It's actually a smart idea for any pantry or storage facility as well. And the thing is that if technology starts to talk with each other, we see some nice things happening. I saw this, for example, on the internet the other day, artificial intelligence and how they use it. Now, this was, I must say, an article about housekeeping in a hotel. But what they do is sometimes they go into a room and they're not 100% certain if the room is empty. And with the Internet of Things, for example, a certain sensor can see if somebody is still in the room, and that could give a notification to housekeeping to improve their cleaning routines. So the thing is that with technology, you can really save time again. Now, about the tech-savvy butler. The question I got the most before this live webinar from working butlers is there a system, an integrated system to run the house? Well, I know this from experience, but on top of that, I did a bit of research, and there's not really something. Because first of all, as you know, a household is very personalized. Every household has a different DNA. But let me still give you a few ideas and things that we have seen here in the school and in the field, what you can use. The first one is, for example, something like OneNote. OneNote can be used, for example, to, well, have a sort of a butler book. As you may know, our 8-week butler students, they make a butler book, and that butler book will actually give a full overview of the household. It gives, it's a sort of a manual where you can find inventories, guidelines, a technical log, for example, if something is broken, etc. You can also use it to highlight to the staff how you want certain things set up. So OneNote could be the first thing. The thing also about OneNote is it's shareable with other people in the household. Now, it's not a custom-made tool, something you're probably looking into, but it's out there, so maybe you want to use it. The next thing I want to show you is what some of my students are actually using. And well, it's not that new as well, but it's called Notion. Now, Notion is a very smart, I won't call it a note app, but it's actually more a productivity app, if you will. You can make pages however you want, and you can integrate certain, well, templates. This is, for example, a template for household tasks. You can have one for cleaning. You can have one for inventories, you name it. And it's really easy, adaptable. So it's one of the best solutions I've seen so far. And maybe here in the school, we might look into making one of those templates because there's a lot of possibilities. It's not ideal yet, but I think it's better than anything I've seen so far. Have a look at Notion. It's at notion.so. It's a free app. You can play around with it. You can't do any harm. And again, you can share with the people in your team. This is really something that I would advise to you. So that is about the 5 trends that I think are not only upcoming, but something that we have to look into. But we had, of course, a number of questions that we got from students all around the world and from potential students coming to the school in the next few months. And this was the first one. The first one was, what is the age limit of getting employment as a butler? Well, to be honest, I'm not completely certain. I don't know what the oldest butler is at the moment. I do know that there is an esteemed colleague in the UK who's still training, and well, he's over his 80s, if I'm not mistaken. But as a working butler, I cannot tell you. What I can tell you is that we had about 5 years ago a student who was 64 at the time that he did the training, and to my better knowledge, he's still working. So the age limit, I cannot answer it 100%. But I can tell you that it's rather high. And as I said before, age is actually an advantage as a butler. It's an advantage because you bring that life experience, if you know what I mean. Right, now, the next question I got was from Mr. or Mrs. Seipt. And the question was, which is the best way we can assure a guest come back to our property? Now, I didn't fully understand the question. I think that this person meant, how can we treat them in the best possible way? I think, and well, I'm absolutely certain, it's personalization. It's personalization and anticipation. It's knowing what type of coffee they drink, how they take their coffee, how they like their room made up, that personal touch without crossing the line between friendly and familiar. It's about that being a butler and anticipating every single step they might take. What is the next question they might ask you? Make a number of questions up and make sure that you have the answers to them. I think that is the best way to make sure when guests come back to the property. Right. Another question. The only way we will receive certification for the course, is that by completing the live training in Belgium? Well, that question actually came from somebody who was interested in the distant learning program. So as you may know, we have a distant learning program that shows you over 35 hours of material in the smallest detail. It's actually filmed during our 8-week training. But then we have an additional 2-week live training in August to see you in action. Because this school will actually never hand out certificates for butlers if we have not worked with you. We want to build that personal relationship. We want to see your skills. We want to assist you in upgrading your skills. So we very much think that it is necessary to come and do a live training. It doesn't mean that the distant learning program cannot assist you or upscale you in your skills, but we are a big fan of live training. But to answer that one, 1 week, 4 week, 8 week, and Butler Bootcamp, everybody, of course, gets certified upon passing the training. Right, next question. The most important question I wanted to ask is if there is a limit of age to participate in the Butler courses you are offering. This is not about the limit of being a butler, but the age of participating in our trainings. Well, I already kind of answered it. There is not, because that student I talked to you about was 64. And we have demands from people at a similar age. So once again, we welcome everyone at, whatever age it is. The most important to us is motivation and a smile. So hope that answers your question. The next question. I would like to take this chance to ask with regards of bootcamp, by any chance that you have had scheduled for mentioned events. Now, about the bootcamp. When you do the bootcamp, like I said, you first have a look at the online training. What we see is, and to be honest, I was a bit surprised about that, the people coming here who have done the online training, they retain information amazingly well. They remember details amazingly well. And why is this? Well, if you do the online training, you can rewind the videos. If you're here live, it's a bit difficult to rewind me or the instructors. Of course, we're more than happy to answer every question over and over again, but you can look at it multiple times. The schedule for the bootcamp is actually that we have a lot of practicals. We actually throw you in front of the lions, so to say, straight away. So on day one, we put you in practicals, and the theory that you already absorbed online should help you with that. So I hope that answers your question as well. Next question. Well, there's a bit of questions here. I'm going to start with the first one. Is there a general concierge app or service you would recommend for issues like last-minute bookings for restaurants, private jets, etc.? Now, once again, to be honest, I haven't seen an app that allows to combine all of those. Of course, you have the traditional platforms to make reservations for restaurants. There are a few platforms also that will notify you when high-level restaurants have, for example, a last-minute cancellation or what have you. But there is a way of doing that. There is actually a way of making sure that you can get into sold-out shows, restaurants, book maybe private jets at the very last moment. And the thing is to work with a concierge service. Here's an example. So this is one of the biggest concierge services in the world. It's called Quintessentially, and your principal most likely can have let's say a subscription to their services. And whenever you as a butler need a restaurant or a show or whatever at the very last minute, they can most likely get you in because they got these amazing great contacts. So is there an app to answer your question? Not really, but there might be a solution to this. It's a concierge service. And of course, Quintessentially is not the only one. There are multiple ones. The second question here was, I have not been able to get an answer to this question anywhere so far. I have additional training in driving security, especially armored cars and critical situations, though I have never considered going to courses for self-defense or armored training. How highly would these special trainings be valued, as they are usually not required, but also maybe a great skill set on top as a traveling close to the master butler, for example? I thought that to be a very good question. The thing is that every skill that you possess upgrades you in your job as a butler. Let me give you an example. If you know how to cook amazingly well, that gives an advantage. If you know self-defense, that gives you an advantage. For example, in our training, we train our students in first aid. They get certified during our training in first aid response, resuscitation, anything, Heimlich maneuver, whatever. And that skill alone gives them an advantage. So to answer your question, I think that every possible skill will help you here. That is what I think. In terms of armored cars, this is of course not an easy training. I know there's a very good company in the Netherlands that will train you because these cars are very, very heavy. But I hope that answers your question as well. Last but not least, we have a number of questions from a former student. What strategies do you recommend for a butler for staying updated on the latest trends in luxury service and hospitality? Well, I hope I answered that one with the websites that I showed. And of course, what I said about the Google Alerts, for example, you can use that one as well. What methodologies or tools do you recommend for efficient household management and organization? Well, this is what I talked to you about. For example, Notion could be a solution. But once again, there's not really a software that I have seen that would really fit your needs. I know there's one, but it is hugely expensive. Even though we work for people with resources, many of my clients said, it looks good, but I'm not ready to invest. So that's my best answer. How do you stay adaptable and ready to meet the unique demands and preferences of clients who have varying cultural backgrounds and expectations? So once again, that cultural sensitivity. Don't be afraid to verbally support it. Let's say, for example, you come into a country, there's a certain custom that you don't know. Go to someone and ask them how it works. Don't be afraid. Verbally support it. Last but not least, what advice can you offer on building strong and long-lasting relationships with clients, colleagues, and other service professionals in the industry? Well, as a last question, I think that's a very good one. I have learned that creating long-lasting relationships comes to discipline and patience. It means that we are not overstepping that invisible line of professionalism. It means that we remain professional at every single time. And we do it over and over and over again at the very same level. That's where the discipline comes in. And it's nurturing a relationship. A relationship is something that you nurture. So you do that over a period of time. It's like with everything. It's like, for example, with training to become an expert in a certain sport, saving money, anything with discipline takes time. And don't forget this, there are two types of pain. It's the pain of discipline or the pain of being sorry. So discipline, nurturing relationships, I think that is going to be the best one that I can give you. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. I hope I haven't taken too much of your time. I hope that you can use these upcoming trends. Now, before I go, if you have any questions, please shoot. I'm going to just have a look in the chat. Let me have a look. No more questions. I see that there's a bit of greetings there. Lovely. Thank you so much, everyone, for reacting. That looks great. Absolutely. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, send me an email. I'm more than happy to answer. Keep your eye out for new trainings coming. As you might know, we are launching the nanny training in September 2024. We have some spots left for our butler trainings in 2023. I think we got one left in 2024 upcoming. So if you want to join us, for example, to London, to Champagne, if you want to be trained as an amazing butler, we're more than happy to welcome you. And I'm wishing you the best and hope that you have an amazing weekend. Hope to see you later. Bye-bye.